Hello, everyone, and welcome back in. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome back to the Mad Science Lab podcast. We have my first successful intro of the week. The first one I did, my computer froze midway through my intro. That worked out well. The second one, I clicked the wrong button and you got a Super Mario theme for my son's YouTube channel. So we're off to a good start. We have a fully functional intro. And today we're going to do some sleepers, breakouts, and busts. And joining me to do that is Tony Camino. Tony, thanks for joining me, man. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
All right. Before we get into your guys, do you want to take a second here to tell everyone where they can find you?
Right. So I'm really just on Twitter right now, Tony Camino 23. Follow me on there and check out a lot of my writing on believeintheland.com. I do a lot of things, Cleveland sports mainly.
That's painful. I've been to Cleveland. I spent the weekend in the Ohio area. It was a great place. Guess we'll leave it at that. It was a little painful. I've never been to a place where there were 500 fantasy football analysts partying, but then once you leave the place where we were at, the entire freaking city, the entire from downtown Canton to my hotel room 12 minutes away, not a single car on the road. The city was like completely evacuated, except for the people down at the bar. Never seen anything like it before.
It's a great place. Yeah.
It's a great place. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, well, let's get right into it. We've got your sleeper. That would be Cincy running back Joe Mixon. Fantasy Pros has him projected as RB16. That's got to be a career low. Projected for 971.5 rushing yards, 7.5 touchdowns, 56 receptions, 367.3 receiving yards, and just over 2 touchdowns. Why is Mixon a sleeper for you? What is it you like?
So nothing with Joe Mixon in terms of his advanced stats, like his yards per route or rushing yards over expected, really stand out in terms like of a top guy. But with Joe Mixon, it's all about opportunity. Last year, he was running back 10 in only 13 games with 50% or more of the snaps. And a lot of those were right around 50% because of Samaje Perine's ascension late into the year. So without him, a guy who received just 24 less targets, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Mixon to have a full workload, whether that be just running, receiving, not to mention he's on an elite offense with explosive playmakers from quarterbacks to receivers. It's going to be a lot of opportunity for him to get a lot of touchdowns and a lot of touches. Only big downside is that potential suspension he could be facing, but we'll see about that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is going to be with that suspension. I seen Drew Davenport was bored. He just got back from the expo and looked like he was looking to put out some content, and he kind of went over the developments today. It was a long read, and my head hurt too much from the expo to read it, so I have not had a chance to break down Drew Davenport's thoughts on the situation. But if you get a chance, go over to Twitter and check out Drew Davenport. He's great for the legal aspects of it. For me, I feel the same way. It's kind of an opportunity cost. I've been saying this all along, though. I've been saying to everyone, buy Joe Mixon. We're going to get to just before week 1 when everything's settled and, we've still got Fournette and Hunt, the other 2 running back landmines to go. A couple of them have signed today. Yeah. But people are going to get to just before week 1. The rosters are going to come out for week 1 and they're going to say, look at that. Joe Mixon's the only usable back on this entire roster. And then they're going to look and they're going to say, RB16 for the only guy in one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. What are we doing? So I'm going to check and see here. One sec, where he is on NFFC. He is going as, RB16, 48th overall. So I can get him at the end of the 4th round. I feel like that might not be accurate. Like I have the time point set here, August 1st to today, and that's where he's going. I don't know how he's going as the last pick in the 4th round. If that happens in my draft, I'm going to own him everywhere. What are your thoughts here on him being pick 48?
Yeah, I think if he's there till 48, you get him. That's like, you don't want to, everyone throws that term league winner, but like that's a league winning pick to have a potential top 5, top 10 running back finisher in the 4th round. Yeah.
But like, what are we doing? Gibbs has some competition. Brees Hall, I think, is still not going to be ready. Walker, there's health concerns there. Javonte, health concerns. Sanders is okay, I guess. Madison, I'm not in on. Akers and Dobbins, they have all sorts of concerns. Like Joe Mixon, I get it.
Those guys.
He's boring and inefficient, but who cares? He'll volume his way to a top 8 finish.
That's exactly how we feel.
I don't get what we're doing. And like I said, I'm going to have a ton of him at his current cost. All right, let's get into someone I do not have a whole lot of. I think I have one share in a dynasty league of your breakout. That would be Green Bay Packers. I almost said rookie because he didn't play much last year. Second year receiver Christian Watson, projected as wide receiver 16, which I thought was kind of high. 66.6 rushing yards projected, 1 rushing touchdown, 69.5 receptions for 955 through the air, and 6 receiving touchdowns. Why do you think Watson breaks out here? Just lack of competition, and you have some faith in Jordan Love here, or what's the story here?
A little bit of everything, honestly. I mean, starting off with his last year with Rodgers, where that week 10 and on, he had 5 top 15 finishes, and he had a top 3 finish, and then a couple top 10 finishes. So he really shows that big playability, and he lost Lazard. Like the big thing, there's no really competition for targets. More than anything is the talent is really there. He's a good route runner. He's got speed. He needs to work on those contested catches because you could see there were times where Rodgers didn't really trust him when he probably was open. I think with Jordan Love at quarterback this year, though, and no other competition, I think they're going to trust him more. And while he might see more drops and not have the super efficient 4 for 108, 3 touchdown game like he had last year, he'll be able to get more of those targets because he's going to be playing a bigger role.
See, for me, this is a story of the ADP. My card, when my graphic at the beginning had him off the Fantasy Pros projection of wide receiver 16 for 8. That's their projection. If he's going as wide receiver 16, I am not taking him. NFFC, he's going as wide receiver 24 at the end of the 4th round. So you could theoretically stack him with Mixon there. Wide receiver 24, end of the 4th round, I will have some shares. Wide receiver 16, which is going roughly middle of the 3rd round, late 3rd round, I'm not going to have any 3rd round Christian Watson. Where are you comfortable taking him? 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd take him all the way as high as he's going at 16 right now, but I think more in the middle of that area, like a 4th, 5th, because I do think, I mean, we saw the big games he had last year, and obviously Aaron Rodgers is not Jordan Love, but I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for him. They're going to give him a big chance. The talent was there. Speed's there. He's got the big playability that's so buster boom in fantasy, but I think it could work out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of him. It's one of those ones where I could see a huge just range of outcomes. If you finish this season and told me that next time this year, if you told me he was the version of this year's or next year's version of Garrett Wilson, where he's that receiver who took a huge step and people are just fucking loading up on him and, they're expecting him to be the next Justin Jefferson, I would buy it. If you also told me that he was the next, who's a flash in the pan we got here, Pittman, who seems to have fizzled out. If you told me he was Michael Pittman or Gabe Davis, who were a huge hype train and they fizzled out and went nowhere, I would also believe that. That I think is where or why I'm kind of hedging my bets here. I don't feel strongly one way or another. Like the talent is there. The athleticism and speed is there. The efficiency cannot possibly be maintained. The offense scares me. The opportunity is good. Like the target competition theoretically is non-existent, but you never know. Jaden Reed could be good. Dobbs could be good. Aaron Jones could lead the team in targets. So there's a lot of positives and negatives to this case. Like I said, I hedge my bets, but at the range he's going in, like, I think I like Drake London. I probably put him right around here. Like, I don't like Debo, but all these other guys I'm taking over him, with the exception of maybe Judy. But once you get below him, like, they're all the same. McLaurin, Kirk, Godwin, Williams. I don't mind any of these guys, but I don't love them. This range here, I don't think I have too many of 24 to 30 because I typically just wait and I'll switch positions and then I load up on Ayuk, Deontay, and Lockett.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a range here where there's 4 or 5 guys where I don't know what the hell to make of any of them, really. I think ultimately he finishes as like Terry McLaurin's usual season. He finishes as maybe a wide receiver 15 to 18. So I think he's still a wide receiver 2 in fantasy. I don't know. For me, it's gonna come down to the cost for him. Wide receiver 24 price in the 4th, I'll take it. Wide receiver 16 in the 3rd, I'm out.
Right. I'm kind of similar to there. I would take him on the higher end, probably not all the way up at wide receiver 16 though.
Yeah, I don't think I could take him inside the 3rd round. Maybe if I had to in the early 4th, but I don't think I could go higher than that. Your bust, an interesting one. That would be Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, projected to be RB6, 1,270 rushing yards, 8.5 touchdowns, 32.4 receptions for 229.6 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. Why is JT a bust this year?
The talent's there, and we saw even when they had average quarterback play that he can still have a monster season. But with everything that they're going on with contract situations, who knows if he gets back on the field, maybe he's more reliant or hesitant to come back from an injury. And more than anything, it's the addition of Anthony Richardson. While they're definitely going to transform into like a super rushing attack, I'm not huge on having a running back where the quarterback is going to be a 700 plus yard rusher, because last year Saquon was the only guy who was on a team with a quarterback that ran that much and still placed in the top 10. And the rest, I mean, they weren't even really close. So you're just going to see, I think, especially year 1 Anthony Richardson, it's going to be really making the game easy for him, letting him run. And I feel like he's going to take away a lot of those touchdowns and a lot of the yards that he might get, along with the potential to miss a couple games because of contract or whatever.
Yeah, all 3 of your players have a similar theme for me. I liked Mixon at his current ADP, but Taylor's going to be the same as Watson for me. I'm not in, I'm not out. If I get him at the right ADP, I will take him. The range he's going in, I brought that up on the screen, right? Yes, I did. Okay, so in NFFC, he's going as RB8 at the end of the 2nd. This range here, I don't like. I'm normally I take a early running back. I find I have the McCaffrey, Eckler, Bijan, Barkley. I guess I do have some Taylor, but I don't know. It depends where he falls for me. I've had him fall to me at the end of the 2nd, and when I get him at the end of the 2nd, I will take him, 2-3 turn there. I just find the leagues where he's going higher than this, like I don't know how accurate I believe this ADP to go. Do you see Taylor going 24 a lot? Because I see him going early 2nd, not late 2nd, and I don't have too much of them at early 2nd price.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's going to be some leagues where they see that early 2nd and JT's such a big name, but then last year probably scared a lot of people off. And then the lingering ankle issues with that loomingness with the contract. I mean, to me, if he's not 100%, I don't expect him to play. And that's not something I'd want to deal with, but if I can buy him low enough, the potential's still through the roof.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just really tough. He's another one. The talent, I think, is there. The opportunity is there. I think I know he's not going to see a lot of action in the pass game because of Anthony Richardson, but I think he's going to be their workhorse. It's just his attitude and the shit going on outside of the game has really been, kind of worrying me. I don't think he can hold out. So if this ADP is accurate and he continues to stay suppressed at the end of the 2nd, I'm going to have a lot of Taylor. But like when we first started this a couple months ago, like I've seen him go top 6 in drafts. I've seen him go top 8 to 10 consistently. So 23.34 overall ADP seems kind of low. I've seen him go 108, let alone RB8. So I don't know. That's kind of scary. But once again, like I said with Watson, it's going to depend on the price. I love him at 23 overall. I do not love him at 3 overall like last year, whatever it was. What was he? Was he the 101 last year?
In some leagues, yeah. I think a lot of people
that's what I thought. I know one of the last 2 years he was the consensus 101. I feel like it was last year, but I do not want him as the consensus 101 this year. So, all right. Well, that concludes Jonathan Taylor. Do you want to take another second here to, tell everyone where they can find you and your work?
Yeah, so really starting up here with the league winners, I'll be writing more for them, obviously, but where you can mainly find me is believeintheland.com. All Cleveland sports. And, if you just want a nice, more analytical approach to things, I do film breakdowns, Browns pre-games, talk about the Guardians, the Cavs. So really cover all sports. If you're interested in Cleveland sports, it's definitely where you need to be checking out content.
Oh, see, I'm surprised me and you didn't disagree more. I'm typically the exact Like, I watched the film. I'm the anti-film guy, not anti-film guy. I'm the definition of the spreadsheet grinder. I'm all about
Yeah.
the analytics and the numbers. It's just the way my brain works. Yeah. So normally I don't mash up all that well. What's
Right.
that?
I started as like I really went extreme analytics for a while, basing everything off data, but then kind of reeled that back in and started to like kind of combine that because I feel like that's the best approach to go forward.
I find I use the not analytics. I use the film as my tiebreaker in the end. I use my analytics to decide. Well, I guess you're right. I do use a mashup, but I find myself more as an analytics guy than a film guy. So
That's fair. I would say the same.
all right. Well, that concludes Sleepers, Breakouts, and Busts with Tony Camino. Once again, I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and this has been the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thanks again to Tony for joining me, and thank you all for tuning in. Take care and have a great night.
See you.